Hey everyone, if I told you you had a story to be heard, would you tell it? Better yet, if you knew your story could help someone else, would you share it? Hi, I'm Christine Hotchkiss, and just like our fingerprints, I believe our lives and our stories are an original that put us on the path in which we are on. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Brett. Today, my guest is Brett Bourdon. Bourdon?
Bourdon.
Bourdon. I'm not so good with last names.
Like the milk.
Bourdon. Oh, now I'll always remember. My guest, we'll call you Brett.
Okay.
Brett is actually at end-stage renal failure. He was diagnosed in 2006. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So to begin with, at age 12, you were diagnosed with diabetes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is where we start the journey of how it came about. You gave me some chronological things that had taken place in your life. At age 12, you're a kid, and you're really not sure what that is. I'm assuming what diabetes is.
Right.
Okay.
All I knew is I had to take insulin shots.
Okay.
And that didn't go over well with me.
Now, I don't know any teenager that wants to take anything they're told to take or to do and
Yeah.
have no understanding, but your parents say, well, you'll appreciate it later, or you need to do it, right?
Not only did I have to take shots, but I had to give them myself.
To yourself.
To myself.
Okay. Could be painful, but so you got calloused to it, and so you have
Yeah.
no fear of needles then, too.
Right.
Okay, so let's move forward. In 2006, you were diagnosed with end-stage renal failure, and according to the schedule of things you gave me, that was very life-changing. You were placed on dialysis.
Yes.
So those of us, myself, and our audience that don't know what dialysis is, please tell me what that is.
Dialysis is a process where it cleans all the toxins out of your blood.
Okay.
And you're hooked up to a machine.
Okay.
Myself for 4 hours.
Kind of like someone who's going through chemo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. You're hooked up to a machine. It cleans your all the toxins out of your blood. It takes all the waste, the fluid
Okay.
off. So.
Okay, so this is sounding a little familiar. A few months ago, I sat with a good friend of mine, Dawn Fowler, so if she's watching, shout out to my Dawn Fowler. I had shared with you her story, and I had given her tidbits about knowing you. You're in a different stage, I think, than she is. She's doing everything she can to stay healthy and go through the dialysis that you had mentioned. You had talked about a port that she had to have in order to be able to go through this.
Yes.
Is that correct? What was that called again?
A fistula.
A fistula. I learned so much stuff, and I should have stayed in medical school, but it didn't work. Okay, so fast forward, we're going to go to 2009 when you had a major seizure.
Yes.
Tell us about the seizure.
Well, I had been on dialysis. It's called peritoneal dialysis.
Okay.
In your abdomen. There's peritoneal and there's hemodialysis. The peritoneal dialysis was you're hooked up to a machine at home overnight for 10 hours.
Okay.
And my body was just shutting down.
When you say shutting down, what is shutting down?
Well, I was at home with my family, and I had a symptom of this beginning stages of a seizure.
Okay.
I didn't know. I passed out
Okay.
in the kitchen.
So you weren't conscious at all? Okay.
Well,
But you know,
I
it's a
woke
seizure,
up when I hit the ground.
Oh, no. I'd hit the ground.
Yeah, but I let a big yelp out
Okay.
and dropped.
Okay.
And so I called the paramedics. My wife called the paramedics, and they came. They didn't want to take me because, everything seemed okay.
Okay.
And but she says, no, he's going, because I don't want to.
No, it's a woman for you. You're going, whether
deal
you like
with
it or
her. You're
not.
going,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing she insisted that I go.
Good.
got to the hospital. They admitted me out of emergency. When the nurse was in there, signing me in and getting all my information, I turned to my wife and said, "Something's wrong."
Oh.
And that moment, I went into a full seizure.
Oh, wow.
Major seizure, and the man man of the cloth came up and whisked my wife out of the room because they were working on me. They spent about 45 minutes trying to revive me.
Okay.
And
Now, in the stuff that you told me, that was so you were put on life support for 6 days. Is that correct? Is this that same time?
yeah, about that, yeah.
And then you had mentioned that this was a whole new outlook on your life. Tell me what that outlook is that you speak about. I mean, obviously you just gave some traumatic indications of something that wasn't right, and then you went through the physical part of it, and then now you're in 6 days of being in on life support.
Yes.
Where's the life-changing new outlook on life come into place?
Well, I experienced a vision with the Lord,
Okay.
and it was
What was your faith? I want to say faith. What was your beliefs in God prior to that? Because when someone says that statement, that's pretty powerful, and not everyone believes in God, and that's okay. But
Right.
you came to something that was for you.
yes, it was Christ reaching out to me because He knows all.
Okay.
He knows what I'm going through, what I need to go through,
Right.
and what I didn't know I was about to go through. So the whole point in saying my whole life changed was when I appeared before the Lord.
That was your new look at life,
That was-
saying, I need to
that
change
was-
some things?
Yeah, I needed to change, why I'm in this situation, not truly taking care of myself
Okay.
as I should have.
Okay.
And lo and behold, when I actually woke up after this, my my wife came into my room and said she wanted a divorce.
Oh my goodness, as if you
Yeah,
weren't already
so
down.
I was like, no, I need to do this. I need to, I'm going to change. I want to tell you about my experience,
Yeah.
And it just devastated me.
Of course it would. It would
Taking my
anybody.
family gone and
So you moved forward.
so I moved forward.
Okay. And then now you've come to a transplant. This was in December of,
Yes.
what was you said?
December 1st.
Okay.
I got the call.
Okay. The call, the good call. Okay.
The call. And had the kidney pancreas transplant. So I was living life like I'd never known.
With the
Disease freeze.
Was it still with the same attitude of the whole outlook on life thing? I mean, you have someone else's organ in you that gave you a second chance at life.
Yes, I mean, I was so devastated by that, it took away from the wonderful truth of being healed.
Okay.
It's like, well, who cares if I'm healed?
Oh no!
I
everybody.
lost everything.
So you thought, because it was temporary, because now these years have moved forward and you're still sitting here, because as we've gone through your timeline, you're a walking miracle. So let's tell the audience about how you're a walking miracle. You went to life support, then you had gone and gotten pneumonia in, what did you say, 2016. So that put you back down. So what happened in 2016 when you got pneumonia?
2016, I got pneumonia, I went to, one of those emergency clinics.
Uh-huh.
I didn't, I had the typical cough, and
So you had no idea.
all that stuff. And so I went, got my x-rays of my chest. The doctor said, you have double pneumonia.
Double pneumonia.
Double pneumonia.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. He goes, but I can't treat you because it's way, way too serious. You have to go to the hospital now.
Okay.
So me trying to be in control of everything.
Not any of
and
us.
dramatic.
Okay.
And, I went back home and packed my bag, very organized.
Okay.
And because I know what, happens when you go to the hospital.
I try to avoid it at all costs.
It's, they're there to save your life, but bad things happen in the hospital at times.
We won't do any place and blames, but we'll talk about your journey.
Yes.
Okay. So with you having gone into that and you had gotten you had pneumonia, you were placed yet again on life support for 28 days. Is that correct?
Yeah, when I got to the hospital, the doctor said he can't breathe. They placed a mask
For
over my
oxygen?
face, and they forced oxygen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, into my lungs, and he said we have to put him on life support, or he's going to.
I think this is about the time
die.
I saw your stuff on Facebook that all of a sudden you were in the hospital and you were...
Yeah, I had already gone through a ton of stuff.
Okay.
This was, after three seizures.
3 seizures.
3 seizures, which I was placed on life support on the first 2.
Okay.
And which, the doctors were amazed that I pulled through. But this pneumonia, because of my my body, I have no...
Immune system?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, it's very weak, and so now you've got all these other things attacking it, and you're trying to stay every way as strong as you can and healthy. Now, you had mentioned something about having an artery burst. Was that at the same time?
No.
Okay.
It was in 2018.
We talk about how this is so sad, but on the other hand, it's also a miracle because you're here and you weren't expected to live.
Right.
And you keep fighting, you keep doing what you're doing, and you're still doing dialysis, I'm assuming. Have you been put back on the list to be able to be accepting?
No, not yet.
What do you need to do to be able to be in that category?
I have to get my diabetes under control, my labs.
Yeah, and how do you do that? Is that something diet, exercise? What is it?
Well, it's everything.
Okay.
But in order to apply to get on the list, my A1C, which is my 3-month total of blood sugar.
Okay.
So it's not even close to where it needs to be right now, because my body built up for a resistance to insulin.
Oh, wow.
Certain types of insulin.
Okay.
And so...
So it's not helping you at all?
No.
Okay.
No, because, I was... I lost my organs for the second time.
Okay, a second time. Okay.
In 2000, right after, about 5 months after my brush with death with pneumonia.
Okay.
Which I was on life support for a month.
Oh, wow.
And then
so
went through
you're hooked up to a machine.
rehab.
Okay.
Yeah. I had no awareness of what had happened to me.
So where does this put you now? Are you able to work?
Yes. It's
Oh, my goodness.
it's hindered me. I mean,
Okay.
it wasn't as easy as the first time
Okay.
to
Okay.
get on the list because I was healthier.
Sure.
They put me immediately on the list
So do
when I
you
was
feel
diagnosed.
okay? So are you tired a lot? Does this make you
Yes,
tired?
yes,
Okay.
exhausted.
Exhausted.
Dialysis just it takes everything out of me.
Dialysis is how many
Each time.
times a week or day? I'm not sure.
Three,
3 times a week?
3 times a week.
And how many times in a day? For
Um,
the hours, I mean.
well, 4 hours.
It is 4 hours.
Yeah,
Does that make you tired as well?
yeah, because they're taking about 15 pounds of fluid off me each time,
Okay.
which is not good for my heart.
Okay. Now, do you have a heart condition as well because of
Yes,
this?
I had a valve replacement on my heart this time,
Okay.
and there's issues there.
But you're still determined to keep going, and I'm so glad to sit here next to you to be able to say that you're
Yeah.
a walking miracle at this time, and that you haven't given up, and that you are going to keep doing what you can, and that you will see something come of it.
Well, I see. People say, "Oh, you're such a fighter,"
Okay.
but when these episodes happen with seizures, I don't know anything. I don't even remember anything.
So you can still have a seizure at any time.
Well, now I can because,
Everything's weak.
yeah, which is very, very concerning. It's
Okay.
scary.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I absolutely would say so. We think tomorrow is going to come, and then we learn that that's not always the case, as you've learned about my story with my loss of my daughter, Nicole. We've got so many things that we should be grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And whether you're a miracle or you just have every day that you wake up to say, you know what, I'm not sure what today is going to bring, but I'm grateful I got today. And it might not go in my favor, but I'm going to have the best attitude I can because I was given today to make the best of it, as I tell anybody, Today's your day, own it. And for as long as you're given, whatever the cliche is, whatever it is that gets you through the day, to say, you know what, I made another day.
Right.
So I don't like to think that someone can predict someone's lifespan, but when you hear someone's a miracle, I think that's a good thing to say on someone's lifespan. Have you been given a diagnosis of, or not diagnosis, a time frame that, obviously you've gone past it if they said you're a miracle, that maybe you have so much to look for or don't look forward to?
Well, I guess the thing I tell everyone is, obviously I have a calling and something to do left.
And you and I have
because
talked
there's no reason why I should be here
No.
based on what I've gone
What
through.
you've been through, and there have been
I've
people that have gone
experienced.
through a lot of stuff,
And a
lot
lot
of stuff.
more.
You always hear that phrase, you know what? It could always be worse, and it's very true. When you talk about your calling, you and I had actually volunteered together at St. Vincent de Paul down in downtown Phoenix to feed the homeless, and we were actually helping redo the cafeteria area for the homeless, and that was fun times to be able to do what we did, and you were very energetic. At that time, I had no idea anything about this that you were going through.
Well, I mean, I was healed then.
Okay.
know?
So now you talk about your calling. You and I have talked briefly about some things that you feel is your calling, and is that to help the homeless as well?
Yes.
Do you want to give a little clip of what that might be, so I give you some hope, or give other people hope that just because you're sitting here or they're sitting there, that there's not hope to still do something with the time that you have and still make an impact on life?
Well, I guess going back to the year 2000, the Lord had spoken into me what He wants me to do, and one was to start a nonprofit, specifically nationwide, to rid the nation of homelessness.
And we do have
And
that.
yes, and it was how do I do this? How do I bring us together as one on one you know, topic where everyone can agree on one reason, and he presented that he wanted me to do that through the real estate industry because it's a nationwide
So,
industry. I mean, it's worldwide, but and he slowly showed me that bringing people together for that one purpose would have to involve the real estate industry by providing the homeless homes. That's security. And who better to do that than the real estate industry, the realtors and brokers.
well, and housing, no matter where you're at, it seems as though it doesn't matter, there's homelessness everywhere. And every time I turn around, it seems as though there's just not enough places for shelter for people who are homeless. And it breaks my heart because, as I'd mentioned in a previous interview with a gentleman who works with the community and the homeless, it's everywhere, and it's something that you can only do so much. In the beginning of the year, there's this thing called a point in time, and a point in time is nationwide, and it's where you go out there, you being myself or someone who volunteers within their community, and go on the streets to count those individuals that are on the streets so that people can say, this is the numbers. That's why you can hear it on the media. This is the numbers of how many are homeless and how many families are there and where their statuses are. So a point in time, and I say a point in time, and for us in Arizona, we don't really get the snow. You know, it's a beauty when we see it on a whim. But at the time they do it in January, it's like New York. You know, there's blizzards or snow or other areas in the continent.
We don't think about that.
We don't think that. How are you going to find these people at this time of the year? They're not likely going to be camped out in the snow, and I could be wrong, so I'm not in the snow. But so when you go back to the real estate, I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's just not enough housing for all these individuals that are on the street. And there's a stigma that I'm trying to break, and other people trying to break, with the stigmas that are in every part of our lives. When it comes to the homeless, there seems to be like this nose down kind of thing. And it's not always a situation. People think that because someone doesn't want to work. There's so many other things that are out there, and I think that's why you're saying the homeless and you talk about the real estate. So real quickly, how would the real estate and you being this nonprofit benefit the community of the homeless? What is it that you're trying to do, the mission?
Well, let me explain. One day I was actually helping a church at feed the homeless downtown, and all these people were coming through, getting clothes and food that we had there, and all of a sudden the Holy Spirit spoke to me, and he said, you know what, you're serving these people, and the truth is that we are all eternally homeless.
Yes, we are.
And that won't change until you make that decision. And so my vision is, we're all the same.
We are.
We're all
Going
sinners.
through something, but we're all
we're all going through something. We are not higher than another. And so why not treat the source of this of ourselves?
Yeah, ourselves.
So that's when I figured out that, wow, that's powerful, to be eternally homeless. You think these people have it bad, here on earth.
So are you out there? I know that you're limited on your time, your mobility, and your energy. to go out into the community and help serve with homeless. If someone wanted to work with you and say, hey, I have some people that I would love for you to come to. You're not doing a ministry, so to speak, but you're wanting to be able to give back.
Well, I'm launching a for-profit company
Okay.
in the real estate industry.
Okay.
And they are to support and help the mission of helping the homeless here. Through helping the homeless.
Do you have a mission statement?
Um,
Something kind of? You have an idea of what you're going to do.
It's because it's very difficult
That's okay.
to bring people together. And so my
relating
question
to the same thing.
in all this is, okay, Lord, I know you serve a bigger purpose than we can ever imagine in our lives. And so, not only are we serving the homeless, but we're serving them and bringing them to eternal,
Okay.
having a place
I believe
to go.
everyone should have a place to call home.
Right.
I've been in my own situation. We've all been somewhere. We don't all talk about our stuff, but we've all been having something that has been life-changing, or we know someone. So the last question that I ask, a lot of people don't think about this because I live every day through the memory of my daughter Nicole, and also my sister that passed away a few years after that, is I have my purpose, and that's being able to tell people stories to say, you're not alone, you're not the only one, it's okay, you'll get through this. I want to give you hope. My one word is hope, and I hope to give that to people who either know you directly or indirectly, or see this, or see out and about. But my question for you is, I call it a legacy. But when your last day is done, how do you want to be, and what do you want to be remembered for?
Well, I'll tell you, when I had my first seizure and experienced that time with the Lord, the only audible words he spoke to me, he's standing before me, and the only thing he said was 5 words, was, it's not about you, Brett.
That is the key thing. It's not.
And,
You're right.
I'm thinking...
You're like, what do you mean it's not about me? It's me going through this right now.
Yeah, don't you love me? Of course it's about, me. And
So what do you want to be remembered for?
So what I want to be remembered for is what Christ is remembered for.
Okay.
Basically, it's about him, his sacrifice for us, and so faith.
Faith is a good word.
Faith is everything.
So you know how I will remember you for the short time I have known you and the things that we've gone through? Not just your strong faith and your belief in God, but your determination. You gave me a timeline of things, and you just kept plugging away at it. You kept pushing, and you're still doing it. So that's how I'm going to remember you, as being someone that was strong in their faith, believer in their God, and believer in what his purpose is. So I appreciate
it took
that.
a while, but I
think
got it nailed down.
We're all going through something that we just go, why me? And it's like, well, as someone else had told me, well, why not you? It's you that's going through it. Why not you? Like, you're going through this. I've gone through mine. Other people out here have their own things, as well as other stories I have coming up and the ones I've talked about. Why not you?
Right.
In the book of the Bible, there's a lot of stories about people's lives we've talked about this. They were those ones. Why not them? To give us faith, to give us hope.
Right.
And so that's how I look at it, is we're sharing our stories here as they are shared in there, to give hope and to say, they did it, do this, and you too will be okay.
Absolutely.
Even though in the flesh we're very selfish.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Brett. I appreciate you being vulnerable and opening up and talking about something that I know that is very sensitive to you. And I hope that it helps anyone that's out here. There may be, like I said, a similar story about having renal failure, but everyone's experiences in their lives and everything is unique. As I said, our fingerprints are Our stories are unique. So
Yes.
thank you again. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Christine.
Yes, very welcome. All right. Well, there you have it. So if you haven't been moved by this like I have, well, then push replay and look at it again. And until next time, these just keep getting better and better. Wait till the next one. Next two, I've got those lined up. But nonetheless, I wish you well. Until next time, take care.